Hello there, it's Larry Swartz with Ask the Experts Food Edition, and this is a continuation of what we're calling Mother's Month, because we don't feel like Mother's Day is enough to celebrate your mom, celebrate her for a whole month. So I'm sitting here with my friend Roger, and we're going to talk about his memories and history with food and what he cooks and what he likes to cook and what he likes to eat, stuff like that. Hi, Roger. Welcome.
Hi, Larry.
So the thing that I like to ask people is, first of all, who was the cook in your family when you were growing up?
My mother, virtually exclusively on the rare occasions when my father was away, it was usually TV dinners for my sisters and I.
So let me make sure I understand. When your father was away, it was TV dinners?
I'm sorry, when my mother was away.
When your mother was away.
I misspoke, yes.
So your mother...
So my mother cooked
did most of the cooking.
99.5%.
Yeah, that's the way it was in my family, too. So do you remember, were you in the kitchen with her ever? And did you help her?
I would say no.
No. In other words, she would cook it and put it down in front of you, and you would eat it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was in my house. I mean, The only thing I ever learned how to cook when I was a kid was my father liked eggs over medium. Mm-hmm. And he would always say a runny yellow, but not runny white. And so he helped me learn how to make eggs over medium. And I'm pretty good at that now. But anyway. So what did your mother cook that you liked the most? Do you remember?
Well, first off, I grew up in a little bit of a different situation than the typical American family, in that we lived way, way out in the country in a very rural environment. Mm-hmm. And my dad hunted a lot. And so we had extra full-size freezer in addition to the fridge. And it was stocked with game, and so we ate most of the meat we ate was game, and we ate a lot of game. We ate a lot of
venison,
a lot of. I grew up in the east, so a lot of goose, Canada goose, a lot of duck, pheasant.
Wow. I love duck.
Doves, grouse, wild turkey. It would be. I mean, we had hamburger. Steak would be extremely rare.
Right.
Most of the meat we ate was game, so it was a little different. So she cooked a lot of goose. She cooked a lot of venison. Those were probably the two most frequent meals.
Did she roast duck?
Sure.
Oh, really? I love roast duck. It's just fabulous.
Yes, and so every year on our birthday, I had two sisters, and on our birthdays we could choose whatever meal we wanted, whatever menu, except it had to have a vegetable.
Right.
And so my birthday dinner every year was goose, Canada goose, but it came
roasted.
It came with a caveat in that she had to make goose gravy. Mostly when she made, I think because gravy was extra work, she didn't always make gravy, but I wanted the gravy, and so my birthday dinner was goose with goose gravy. Rice-a-roni was my starch. And
what kind of vegetable?
And the vegetable...
green beans. Let me guess. Green beans?
No, it was broccoli. Broccoli was my least objectionable vegetable when I was young. And then dessert was pineapple upside-down cake.
Oh, my gosh. It's funny you mentioned gravy, because we had lunch at a new place over by the outlet malls. And the waitress said, "What do you want for your side? Onion rings, French fries, mashed potatoes with gravy?" Stop. Mashed potatoes with gravy. Yeah. Anything with gravy.
I love gravy.
Me too. Me too. So is it? I don't know if I've had roasted goose before, but is it a thick, fatty skin like duck is? Does it get crisp?
I don't really remember the skin. The one thing I remember about goose, the flavor was terrific, and we had a lot more goose than duck. I think because where we lived, we were right on the Atlantic. I grew up on a waterfowl refuge, so we were right on the Atlantic Flyway, and there were geese by the tens and tens and tens of thousands.
Is that,
So the goose had a great flavor, but also you shoot geese with shotguns,
right?
And so there'll be a little bird shot in the goose, and every now and then you chomp down on a pellet.
So if you were going to cook something for your kids now, what do they like the best that you cook?
Well, see, So I don't eat game, I don't hunt, and so I can't cook any of that stuff. So I would make various kinds of pasta. I would make, I think soups are one of the things I cook well. They both loved, I would just make, I called it cheese bread, and I would get a baguette, slice it in half, butter it up, grate a bunch of Asiago cheese over it, and put it under the broiler for a few minutes, and they just loved that.
Who wouldn't like that? In fact, I had some of that last night. I cooked some beans and zucchini, and I wanted something crispy with it, so I had some sourdough bread, so I olive oiled it, toasted a little bit, threw some cheese that I bought at Costco, and that was really great. I mean, I think cheese toast is a wonderful thing,
and it's wonderful with soups as well.
No doubt.
I'll often make something like that. The only time I make it today is if I'm making a pot of soup.
So, if you're making soup, do you use a stock? Do you make stock, or do you buy bouillon, or what do you do for?
So I use Better Than Bouillon.
Yeah, I use that.
Which comes in all sorts of flavors, and I'll also use some stock.
And you'll make chicken soup with, or?
I make a celery broccoli soup that has ham or diced pancetta, something like that in it, and but it has a lot of celery, a lot of broccoli. It has some Parmesan. I make a chicken chili.
Oh, do you? Yeah, I make a chicken turkey chili.
Okay.
What do you use in the chili? You use like a low-fat beef? Ground beef?
No, it's a chicken chili. I buy cans of hatch chili peppers and put hatch peppers, one hot, one mild in there.
Do you use fresh ground chicken?
I make it easy I get one of the chickens under the broiler, and I just shred that up and put it in there.
Oh. So you cook the chicken whole?
Chicken's already cooked. The broiler where it's hot at the grocery store.
Oh, you mean like a rotisserie chicken?
Rotisserie chicken. I get one of those, and that makes it very easy.
I never thought of that. I mean, I buy ground chicken, raw ground chicken.
Okay.
Usually organic if I can find it.
Yeah. So the chicken gets added at the end. It's easy peasy.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll have to try that. I never even thought of doing it that way. I like those rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
There is a place that, there's not one out here, but the closest one is in Woodland Hills. It's called California Chicken. And it's a rotisserie chicken. Okay. It's phenomenal. Now, and there's also, we can't talk a whole lot about specific restaurants.
Right.
But there is a rotisserie chicken place in Thousand Oaks. On Moore Park. Do you know where the Whole Foods is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's if you're going on the freeway, it's just before you get to the Whole Foods on the other side of the street.
Okay. Yeah. I typically just get the Vons, rosemary, rotisserie chicken.
Well, I'll have to try that the next time. And I just took out some ground chicken to make chili with this morning.
It'll go a little faster.
And it won't be as messy either.
Right.
And do you use chili powder or make your own spice mix?
Typically chili powder and a couple other things, but
so explain to me how. In other words, you'll saute the peppers, or you'll roast the peppers, and then you'll make some stock.
Yeah.
And then add the other. You put tomatoes in it at all, or tomato paste, or.
I think a little bit of tomato paste. Yeah, and I always keep tomato paste on hand.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's great. Let me see what else I was. So was there anything? Was Mother's Day a big day at your house?
No, I don't remember that it was. I mean, I'm sure we celebrated it. I'm sure we did things for Mom. But in terms of cooking, I don't think so. Maybe we went out to a restaurant or something like that, so Mom didn't have to cook.
Right.
Yeah.
Did she like to cook?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think she got very good at cooking with game. She liked to, where we lived on the refuge, we had a lot of birders come out to bird there. And again, we were out in the country, and frequently we'd strike up a conversation, and Mom would invite somebody in, and coffee and tea and some kind of snack would appear, or often we had guests over for dinner.
Right.
In that it was a different time, again, out in the country. If somebody we knew came by, it was not infrequent, Mom would say, stay for dinner. So that, I think she liked entertaining people and putting food out.
When you say birders, you mean people that come to look at birds?
People that come to look at birds, right. In the refuge, you couldn't hunt.
All right, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. We used to have duck for Thanksgiving instead of turkey.
Okay.
And then also I tried, I like duck in every form that I can get it in. Like Chinese duck, I like that.
Yeah.
I like roast duck à l'orange or some kind of fruit sauce on it.
Well, for me, goose is better than duck.
What?
But it's got to be a Canada goose. It can't be a domestic goose.
So you can't really get Canadian goose.
No, I don't think you can buy that commercially anywhere, really.
Right.
And another favorite growing up was dove, and my mom would make doves have a great flavor. And my dad was a dove hunter, as my uncle, and she would wrap them in bacon, and that was delicious.
Are dove all dark meat?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I forgot. But do you think, I'm sure you can get a raw goose. Maybe it's frozen.
Yeah, it would be, but I think the goose you buy in the store is probably a domestic goose.
I'm sure it probably is. Farm raised.
Right, probably has more fat than the wild variety.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's true for most everything. Like, farm raised salmon has got a lot more fat than wild salmon.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have anywhere near the nutritional value that wild salmon does.
Yeah.
It's just you have to be really careful cooking wild salmon because 30 seconds over and it's dried out and nasty.
Yeah.
So I just assume have it when it's just barely done.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take very long at all. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the things my wife remembers is the first time I brought her to the house for dinner. Mm-hmm. She's a suburban girl, and dinner was venison that night. Mm-hmm. And when she heard that, she'd had venison in the past and had found it very gamey. Right. And but she said she really liked my mom's venison. So I think Mom she used a game cookbook. Huh. And I think she was good at cooking game.
I'm trying to remember. We used to live in Gunnison, Colorado, which was a small town of about 5,000 people on the western slope of the Rockies, and there were a lot of hunters there. And the thing that we remembered the most, this is not really related to Mother's Day, but it was really fun. The sheriffs had a day that was where they would roast bear, or they would barbecue bear, during bear season. And I mean, I'm not a big animal advocate, but at the same time, I eat it.
Yeah, it's a culture. In my case, the culture I was raised in.
Yeah. So but the best part of the bear are the toes.
Oh.
Because there's the high fat content, a little bit of meat, it gets crispy, and that's the only. And other than that, we had elk from time to time and venison from time to time. What about fishing? Did you do any fishing at all?
No, but my uncle was. Well, I did some fishing as a kid because my uncle he just loved to fish. And so, my family and my aunt was my mom's sister, but to the brother-in-law and my uncle and my father were really tight. They hunted together. My dad didn't fish, but my uncle loved to fish. And our families vacationed together, and I fished quite a bit with. Was
it lake fishing or river fishing?
Ocean, lake, and river.
Oh, so really?
If there was water, he wanted to fish.
So was there water near where when you grew up?
I grew up near the Delaware Bay. Right. Yeah, it was salt marsh next to the bay.
And what kind of fish would you catch up there?
Well, I remember catching a lot of flounder. We would go, clamming down in the bays.
Right. Crab?
Crab for sure. Grew up on blue crabs, Maryland blue crabs. Yeah. Although they were Delaware blue crabs.
Right.
But in the country where I grew up, the main social gathering in the summertime would be a crab boil. You'd get a bushel or two of crabs, invite a bunch of neighbors over, put out tables, spread newspapers on top with mallets, and everybody would sit down and eat crabs. And my family still does that when we get together in the summer.
Well, how neat is that? I remember by you telling me that, it reminds me of when my parents took me to New Orleans because I was looking at Tulane University. And they said, well, we had a cousin who lived there. And they said, well, we'll go see the cousin. We'll go look at the university. So the first night that we were there, before I even went to the university, my cousin said, come on over and we'll have dinner. And that's exactly what they had, was a crab boil. With new potatoes that they boiled along with the crab.
We just did crabs in a pot with Old Bay seasoning.
Well, this is Old Bay seasoning but it was just crab and potato. Anyway, when I walked in and I saw that spread out there, I said to my father, I don't need to go to the university. I'm going. We're going to go. I'm going to Tulane.
Crabs are, for me, and I think for the family, nostalgic.
And not to mention how great they are. So, So, well, listen, Roger, it's been great visiting. Thank you so much for sharing all your growing up thoughts about food and your mom and your dad, and we appreciate your time.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
So this is Larry Swartz at Ask the Experts Food Edition. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.